Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I'll be showing you how to make a simple timer in C# in WinForms applications. Long story short, let's begin. First we need to do is to add a label which is going to display our time. I created two. We're gonna increase font here a bit to make it something like this. We're gonna quickly rename our form to the timer. Just need to find where it says name, right here, timer up. And to wrong thing, we need this. And we're gonna quickly swap the background to this much nicer color. Now we will rename this into 0 seconds. And now we need to add 3 buttons. First, we will change this button a bit to make it much nicer and more appealing to eye. Okay, we're gonna mess a bit with font, like this. And now we're gonna just multiply it 2 times. So we have 3 buttons. One is to play the timer, to start it. One is to pause it. And one is to reset it back to 0. Now, when we have these 3 buttons, we need to actually add timer function into the form, like this. And first thing we're gonna do is to double click on timer. So we can make timer function, which will trigger on every timer tick. We need to make definition how much one tick is time. Well, one tick is 1000 part of the second, and we need to adjust our timer interval. Timer 1 dot interval is equal to 1000 ticks. So we make 1000 ticks to be 1 second. And we need to do timer 1 dot enable to be false. We don't want timer to start counting as soon as the form application loads. We need to wait for a button to be clicked for that. And now we're just gonna say label 1 dot text is equal to, for example, 0 seconds. So our label says that every time form is loaded. After that, we need to do a bit of timer ticks, actually. But before that, we need to make integer seconds and to make it 0. So our starting point is 0 for our timer. And we want on every tick that goes 1000 milliseconds to be seconds plus plus. So it increases by 1. And label 1 dot text to say seconds amount we counted each timer tick, and plus just to add space and to make it visible, that's the number of seconds. We need to double click all of these buttons. This is to reset the timer, this is to pause it, and this one is to start it. timer 1, wrong one, timer 1, start, not stop, start, and brackets. Here, timer 1, wrong one, timer 1 dot stop. And here, to actually reset the timer when we stop it, we need to say timer dot, again wrong one, timer, what the fuck, timer 1 dot stop. That's gonna stop the timer, like on pause function. But to actually reset it, we need to say seconds equal to 0. And to say label 1 dot text is equal to what? 0 seconds. So basically we have simple code here. When form loads, we're gonna say that timer interval is 1000 milliseconds. We're gonna say that timer enabled is false, so timer doesn't start ticking exactly when form loads. And to make label text 0 seconds, just in case. On timer tick function, we will, each time timer ticks after 1000 milliseconds, to increase second counter by 1, and just to put it somewhere visible, for example, into label, this number of seconds, and to add a text s or seconds, so you can better understand it. We can swap all of these s's with seconds. So here it will be, for example, 10 seconds written in label. And for each button, we had to create own functions. One is to start the timer, one to stop it, so we can continue the timer on button one click, and when we need to restart it, to stop the timer, make second counter 0, and just for label to say 0 seconds. So let's see how does that work. We have our timer here. We can play it. It will start counting seconds. When we pause it, it will stop the timer. But when we stop the timer, we can continue it. But when we hit reset, it stops the timer and puts the value back to 0. And that's all. If you have any further questions, you can write them down in comments. And thank you very much for your watching. Thank you very much for your attention. Please like this video, and I wish you amazing rest of the day. Bye bye.